Your likes unmuted.
Love it.
Are they good? They good? Hey guys, I can talk now. Hey guys, I am back, and we might need to turn off the messages. But we're live, and today joining me is Miss Brittainy Noel. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to
Awesome.
be here.
We I've been following you, on Instagram, and we've kind of been communicating that way, and had never met you. But
Right.
you know how you follow someone, or you're friends with someone, and you either have things in common, or just like their vibe and things like that. So so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you, because I know that you just came out with a book.
I did. It's actually here.
And it's called Made for This.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But first, I just kind of wanted you to, if you wanted to share, tell people a little bit about, how you grew up, or where you're coming from. Are you from Houston?
I am not. So, for people who don't know me, I'm Brittany Noel, and I am a speaker, a therapist, and a life coach, as well as an entrepreneur. I do a lot of things. So, basically, I'm originally from Austin.
Okay.
Born and raised in
Not that
Austin,
far.
Texas. No, I'm Texas
I love
all the
Austin.
way. So that's where I grew up at, and I moved to Houston for graduate school.
Right.
So I went to U of H to get my master's in social work, and then moved on to become a clinical therapist.
Right.
So that's kind of my background and what I do.
And that's only one of the things you do, because I know you do other things that we were talking about earlier. And I don't know if you want to talk about the event space, but how did that come about?
Yeah, so I own my own event space. It's called The Exception. And I had the idea to open my own event space because when I went into coaching, I was doing a big workshop once every quarter. So every 3 months I was hosting a big event, and it just wore me out. But the hardest part about giving events was having the right space. Right. So I was like, okay, well, fine. You're just going to get your own. And so that's what I did. And so I opened The Exception. Our motto is the place where where exceptional people come to do exceptional things.
That's awesome.
Right. So other coaches use my space. People use my space for events, birthday parties, baby showers, anything that you can think of.
Right.
People host their events there.
And so that's the other thing. So as far as the book, I know that today we were going to kind of focus a little bit on relationships, and also toxic relationships, because all of us really, I think, have been through one. And tell us a little bit about either the book, or is the whole book about toxic relationships, or is it just started off that way?
Well, I'm basically using the book to kind of bring home a lot of life lessons that I talk to all of my clients about, my audience about. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I am an advocate for personal growth in all areas of your life.
Right.
And one of the hardest things that people navigate is relationships. And so, like you said, we've all been through a toxic relationship. But what a lot of us miss is that it's not that we've been through a toxic relationship, but some of us were born into toxic relationships.
Right.
And we have been modeled and taught things as kids that it's not until you grow up and you realize that I'm with this romantic partner who does not treat me well, or does not give me the things I need to thrive or be successful or feel happy or feel loved.
Right.
So as an adult now, we have to start redefining what love means to us, what's acceptable, what are my boundaries,
Exactly.
what do I want.
And that takes a long time.
It does.
And it takes a lot of work, and you have to almost do that intentionally, because I know it's interesting that you say that we were born into those types of relationships, because I strongly believe that however you when you're a child and you see mom and dad, or the family that you're born into, however their relationship is, that's kind of your ideal of what a relationship should be like, whether it's an abusive relationship or a healthy one, or maybe not even having the other partner there at all, type thing. So all of that kind of bleeds into your adulthood.
Absolutely.
And how you kind of create your own relationship for yourself.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
yeah.
So in the book, what I'm doing is I'm utilizing I'm gonna say one of the most toxic relationships I was in throughout the book, I kind of use that relationship to show the different life lessons that you have to learn about yourself. Because the book is definitely less about, the partner and, the things that they did and how they were wrong. But I really use the book to show how I could have made a different decision. And many of us miss out on the fact that while we may be with the wrong person, we have to take responsibility for the ways in which we allow other people to show up in our lives. We allow people to come in and, give us what they perceive our worth and our value is. And the only way that that's able to happen is if you don't know your own worth and value. So I always bring home in the book, I'm showing women how, we say know your worth, know your value, but a lot of people don't know what that means.
What does it mean for you?
For me, knowing my worth and knowing my value means knowing what do I bring with me when I come into someone's life. And because what I bring with me is what makes me valuable, right? It's like when you appraise a house. If that house has a swimming pool, new trimmings, the state of the art fine appliances, the more that house comes with, the more it's appraised and its value. So as a person, I know that the more I invest into myself, the more that I work on me, my value increases. Therefore, when a buyer approaches me,
that's what you're
when a buyer approaches me, I have to give them my appraised value and understand that the value that I'm giving is because this person is going to benefit by having me in their life. And a lot of people miss the fact that when true love is not about what you're getting, but it's about what you provide. And so I know that I'm a healthy person to love. I'm a good person to love, and I'm worthy of love because I'm providing so much in the love department. So when you understand what you provide, you're going to realize, I just can't give this out for anybody. I'm not giving away this $1 million home to someone who can't afford it. Right? Someone who can't do the upkeep on it. Right? So go ahead.
I was going to say, how do you go about appraising, the person, you're the buyer, or the person that's approaching you?
How do we go about appraising the buyer?
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. And one thing that I have learned is that the more work you do in yourself, the more work that you do with your own, broadcasting your light out into the world, you're going to find that you will start attracting buyers who are in the market for what it is you offer, right? Because when I'm in the market for buying a house, I can look at a house and say I cannot afford that house. Right? I can look at it from the outside. I don't need a tour. I don't need to see I can look at it and say,
I would know the price.
That's not for me.
What price range that might be in.
Exactly. And that's the same way with the buyers out here on the market. When they look at you, when you carry yourself in a way that radiates to the world, that I'm very aware of what my worth is, there's only a certain type of person who's going to approach you, right? So your responsibility, one, is to always project out into the world what your worth and what your value is. And this is why you can't minimize yourself. This is why you can't be small. This is why you can't be afraid of your light, because that is what shows the world who I am and what I provide.
Or settle, because that's, I think people, even sometimes when you do know your worth and you think that particular person, maybe you, I don't know if you have a list, but I kind of got rid of the list a long time ago. But when you're thinking about what you want in a relationship or in a person that you'd like to be with, I think some people kind of like, come down on the list, or kind of accept what, and I had said this the other day, don't accept just whatever you can get. It's for me, it's best to settle for what you do really want, because otherwise it's not going to last.
Absolutely. And that comes from that mindset is what I always refer to as the poverty type mindset, right? Because you can have a poverty mindset in your finances, but also in your relationships.
Right. And
when you settle for what you can get, it's because you don't believe that there is someone better, or you don't believe that you will find someone better, or that you can have something better.
Right.
And so it's this mindset that says, let me operate out of scarcity. Right? Let me operate off of my anxiety. Let me operate off of my fears, instead of what I know I am worth and I'm valued at having. So that everything I ever say will always go back to self. So the question always becomes, what do you believe about yourself?
Right.
What do you believe about what you are worth and what your value is? And you have to stay committed to that belief, because believe me, it is hard. But when you have a real relationship with self, I realize that when I entertain thoughts of settling in any area of my life, I have to be honest with myself and know, okay, Brittany, well, if you choose to settle, I need you to know it's because you're giving up on yourself. That is a real conversation I have to have. And a lot of us, we're able to make toxic decisions because we're not telling the whole truth. But if you tell the whole truth, okay, so let's just be clear. You were going to make this decision because you're giving up, right? We're going to make this decision because you don't believe in yourself, right? Because most times we'll say, oh, it's, he's nice.
Yeah.
And he treats me so well. And, it's this. And we justify the bad decision instead of just being honest. No, I'm going to take what I can get because even though I'm not 100% happy, it's better than nothing. When you start telling yourself that level of truth, it becomes very hard to make that decision. I've
been at that point in my life where, you have those conversations with yourself and you're like, okay, you want this, but you don't want this. You don't want this, but you do want this. And it's like you're looking for that combination, that perfect combination. And sometimes you're like, you know what, I'll just take this. I don't like this, and they have that, but okay, that
and the kind of that determining factor, because you're never going to find a perfect person.
Right.
You're never going to find exactly what you're looking for. But I always ask myself, if I make this decision, will it be self-betrayal? Will it be self-betrayal? Because I can date someone who doesn't have everything in my list and not betray who I am, not betray my values, not betray my worth. But if I have to make this decision and know that this person is going to cause me to betray myself, whether I have to minimize myself, I have to, deal with cheating and lying and things that I do not stand for, then yes, that's self-betrayal, right? And that's what you can't live with.
And what do you think about people who say, for example, okay, well, I want all these good qualities, and I might have to find all these good qualities that I like, and they may not be that attractive. Or you find someone very attractive, and they don't have any of these qualities.
You know what?
So that's
So the question is, what if you find someone with all the qualities you want, but physically there's no attraction?
Right.
Or do you go with the person who you're physically attracted to, but they don't have all the qualities?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes that's the battle when you're talking to yourself. Of like, okay, do I really need this? Like, do I want? Like, is this a want or is this a need?
And I'm glad you said that, because in the book I talk about how do you make a decision between the things you want and the things you need. Because many times when it comes to women, we will pick the man that we want because he looks good and we look good on paper. But then we spend the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years trying to make him change to be what I need.
Yeah, exactly.
So you never want to compromise a need for a want, because my wants can change.
Right.
That man that I wanted this year, 3 years from now, I'm going to want something else. Right? The way I change out my cars, I want to change out, But the things you need don't change. Things like validation, things like affirmation, things like security and protection. Those needs are going to be there no matter how old you get, no matter where your life goes.
Right.
That need is stable. It's predictable. And while the good man who may not be as attractive, may not be as thrill seeking or as exhilarating, you may not get fireworks,
as romantic or as
right. You're not going to get that picture perfect fireworks,
right.
But you will get something real. So the question then becomes: do I value what's real to fit my need, or do I go off of my want that gives me immediate gratification?
Right. Exactly. I feel like we live in I call it a microwave society, because they want it fast and they want it now. So
absolutely.
It's a little dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
So your book, I know that you talk about relationships, and were there other things throughout that you wanted to touch on? And is it just for women, or do you think men can benefit from it?
I've actually had some men read the book, and I've gotten great reviews.
Yeah.
The messages in the book is for everyone,
right.
Because the same decisions that women make, men make those same decisions.
I do think men make, that's something that I wanted to touch on. It'll be probably another day. It's for another show. But I think men do make some of those mistakes that women make, as far as, having trouble finding someone that can meet their needs, and also being in toxic relationships and being hurt, and then the next person kind of pays for it, those types of things.
Absolutely.
So men do also have those trust issues and things.
And as a therapist, I've worked solely with men for 4 years.
Really?
So I think what I have found is that just as people, we make decisions based on our emotions. We make decisions based on what makes me feel good.
Right.
We react in our relationships versus actually sitting down, figuring out what we want, and then give us a response. That's just the human experience, right? The key to being a healthy component in any relationship, whether it's romantic, family, friends, you need to have a level of self-introspection to actually ask yourself, why am I making this decision? Why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? The things that I'm thinking, are they built off of my trauma from my past, or off of, what I'm holding, the hope that I have for my future? Because many of us go into relationships and we make decisions based on what we've experienced in our past, because we have walls up and we're trying to guard ourselves from getting hurt again. We're trying to prevent worst case scenarios from happening. We don't want to feel abandonment. We don't want to feel hurt. Therefore, we're making decisions in our present moment, not realizing how much of it is influenced by what we've been through, not where we're going. And then it all falls down, right? So I'm a huge advocate for therapy, of course. Yeah. Not just because I'm a therapist.
Right.
But you really don't know your blind spots until you go in and start checking out some stuff and realize, oh, maybe I could look at this differently. Maybe I can respond to these situations differently, so that you can be more of a healthier component in that relationship.
And are there some simple steps like that you recommend, usually maybe to clients or individuals, to get through that trauma, to kind of get themselves out of that mentality that they're in?
The first thing I always say, because women reach out to me all the time, requesting coaching or therapy services. And what I tell them is that I cannot help you while you're in the same situation. And that is the hardest thing for me to do, because, my heart breaks, right? Yeah. But you can't heal in the same place that hurt you. Right. So when women come to me and they're like, hey, I'm trying to get out of this toxic relationship and this is what's going on. And they're like, I want help. And I'm like, I can help you.
And you recommend they get out of it first.
I said, we need to be clear about what your goal is. Because if you're telling me that you want to get out of this, you need to know, as a coach, my job is to get you out of it, right? And to give you the tools to get out of it. I said, so every tool I give you is going to put you one step closer out of the door. If you're not ready to walk out that door, nothing we do will be beneficial. Right? So you have to remove yourself from the environment. It's like, I can't say that I want to get dry if I'm going to stay in the swimming pool. Right? You got to come out of that swimming pool first.
Hey, throw me that towel. If the towel's wet, nothing,
Right.
You don't get your... Right. But I understand what you're saying. I think the worst thing sometimes people can do is, from my end, sometimes you want to help someone, but you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped, or doesn't want to... they do want the help, but they can't, I guess, mentally or emotionally can't get out of that situation. Absolutely. And it's... I don't know.
Absolutely. And this is where, in the book, is where I shared my breaking point, where I was like, I'm gonna get my bags. It's time to go. We have reached, ground zero. We have to make a new decision. And I wanted to share that part. It was the hardest thing for me to write out, because I was like, first of all, everybody don't need to know my business. Yeah. Okay. But I needed to share that part for the people who struggle to believe that they can leave the situation they're in and be okay. Right? Because you leave that situation and you're like, okay, well, who's going to want me now? Right. Who's going to find me to be valuable?
And I think that's especially hard for women who have kids. Absolutely. or have 3-4 kids, and they stay because I can't leave. Who's going to,
how am I
nobody's going to want me with
Right.
these kids, and just that kind of thing. So I know, how that feels, but I personally have not, been in an abusive relationship, but I've known a lot of people, especially even family members, that have. So it was a learning tool for me.
But I will say this, and I say this in the book: redefine what you consider abuse. Because in this relationship, not one time was I ever hit. Not one time was I ever struck in. But a toxic relationship will minimize you mentally. It will minimize you emotionally. It will do the mental and emotional damage of a toxic relationship. Takes you longer to heal than if he would have hit you. Right. And I think I've even told them before, I was like, it would be better if you would just hit me. Yeah. Because now my psyche is so screwed up that I can't even trust myself anymore. That I can't even see myself correctly anymore. The healing process from mental and emotional wounds takes 3 times longer than a physical wound would.
And I was going to ask if you wanted to touch a little bit on why that relationship was toxic for you, and kind of what was your breaking point.
So the breaking point for me, in the book I described, we were together for 6 years, and constant infidelity. But what was worse about the infidelity, and this is why I tell women, you have to know who you are, is because when you don't know who you are, you allow this person to shape who you are for yourself, right? And this person was able to shape my entire vision of how I saw myself. And so whenever there was a breakdown, it was always, well, you know, I wouldn't do these things if you just did this. You know, I could be what you want me to be. I just need you to do this. Wow. And so it shapes your head into thinking, okay, well, if I just get better, if I just do better, if I just do more. And so you start to believe that every time that he doesn't change,
right?
Oh, it must be something wrong with me. I must be defected. I must be the problem. And so little by little, you're chipping away at yourself.
Right.
And then you look up 6 years and you're like, I don't know who I am. Besides
that, of you having a different idea of yourself, what makes a woman stay? You know, because I've never understood that.
Oh, girl.
Like, is it what makes a woman stay?
So always go back to the beginning. What was modeled for you as a child, right? So for me, one of the toxic things I learned from the women in my life was that you put up with it, right? I watched all of the adult women in my life deal with cheating, deal with abuse, deal with everything under the sun.
Sometimes that's just old school mentality.
Oh yeah, it was old school. That's normal, right? Yeah. And a lot of us, as we learn as adults, that there was a lot of things that going on that was dysfunctional that we were taught. Oh, you just deal with it. So in my mind frame, and this is why I said redefine what you consider abuse, because the only thing that I thought was abuse was him putting his hands on me, but it was never taught to me that, you know, the way he talks to you can be abusive. The way he would use the Bible against me, that's spiritual abuse. But no one.
And meanwhile, you're thinking this is a Christian man?
Yeah, he loves God. He loves Jesus. Okay?
He's a good man.
Right. Okay. And he will use scriptures on me to keep me in place, right? So you don't realize that it's like you have to start redefining your world. And if you don't do it, the world will do it for you. Right. So this is why, you know, people stay because, one, they don't know any better. They're doing what was taught, modeled for them, right? And then you have the people who stay because they've invested too much. Yeah. You know, I put in 10 years. We got 5 kids. We got businesses together. We got all these things that we've created together. You don't want to get out
and start all over.
But here's the thing. No matter how much you've invested, it was a bad investment. Right? Everyone's entitled to make a bad investment sometimes. And you can stay committed to a bad investment, or you can make a new decision. Because anything that you built on a shaky foundation, it's going to fall. Right? And there's nothing you can do. And I even reached a point in that relationship where I just kept trying to catch everything that was falling and trying to make everything look good, make everything be pretty. I needed it to be pretty so that I didn't have to walk away from this. And the most important reason why women don't leave is because they have tied the dream that they have for themselves and for their lives to that person. So walking away from you is one thing, but if I walk away from you, I also have to walk away from the dream that I had. Yeah. You know, because we were going to get the house with the white picket fence, and I was going to have the baby, and we were going to have the marriage, and we've created this entire scenario of what our lives is going to be. Yeah. So when I leave you, I also have to let go of that dream. Yeah. That's hard.
That is, yeah.
That's difficult. And a lot of times I tell people, if you don't grieve the dream, you'll never leave the man. So grieve the dream. It was a nice dream. Yeah. It was pretty. I loved it. But it's not real.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's hard for people in that situation to imagine that they will have or can have something better.
Absolutely.
With moving forward and loving yourself first. I mean, you can love somebody that much, but you do have to love yourself, I think, first. Yeah. In order to do that. So.
Absolutely. And you don't need a lot of self-love either.
Just a little bit.
You just need this much to hold on to. Yeah. You know, and over time, as you start to invest in yourself and love yourself and just really date yourself, that self-love will grow.
I went through that period. Dating yourself.
And it's a constant. Yeah. It's a constant, because the one relationship you will never escape is the one you have with yourself. So if that's not a healthy relationship, that's a problem. Right? If that's not a relationship that grounds you and keeps you stable, that's a problem, because now anyone who comes in your life is going to knock you off of your, you know, and it's not worth it.
And I think there's some people that don't know how to have a relationship with themselves and work on themselves and actually be alone. So it's like they're continuously looking
Jumping
for that
from,
void to fill, you know, and sometimes it's not a good.
And in the book, I outline step by step how to build a relationship with yourself, because you know, we say these things, and as a therapist, I know that I have to teach people how to do these things because it's very involved. It's not a passive process. Learning to have a relationship with you so that you show up in the world the way you want to, it's very difficult.
Right.
And it just doesn't happen because, you know, you go and get a pedicure, you know, because people think self-care is, oh, well, let me go shopping. No, self-care is how is your soul today?
Yeah.
How is your heart today? And many people can't address the fact that their hearts are still bruised, right? That their souls don't feel whole. That's a problem. That's where your self-care happens, not at the nail shop.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's good. You guys, Made for This is her book. And when did you release it? Where can they find it?
We released it in June. I'm still so excited.
That's your baby.
Yes.
Is this your first book?
It is my first book.
Okay.
It is my first book. So we released it in June. It's on my website if you go to BrittainyNoel.com, but it's also on Amazon if you type in Made for This with my name, Brittainy Noel. Make sure you spell Brittany right.
Yeah, and I'll put the link in the comments below in that section.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. Doing really well. It's gotten some great reviews, so I'm excited from both men and women who give us some good reviews.
How was the journey for you writing this book? But was it like something that had been in your mind and on your to-do list for a long time, or you were just like, I want to write a book?
I was so against writing this book.
Really?
Because for me it was the level of transparency.
Yeah.
So the story that goes throughout the book is very transparent.
Right.
And I'm normally not someone who is that transparent. I think my sister read it and she was
kind
like,
of therapy for you, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But you know, I've always said, you know, my journey is my journey.
Right.
You know, but I know that for everything that we go through as people, you went through it and you survived it and you learned from it for a reason.
Right.
And that reason is to pull others with you. So this book is doing just that. I've had women read it and say, Brittany, like I broke up with so-and-so, and I'm just like, oh my God. It's doing what it was supposed to do. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. I think there was one thing that I wanted to say about when you said changing your partner, you know, accepting them because they have what you want and then changing them later. It's, I think the biggest mistake people, or, you know, women and men make is that they can change someone.
Yep.
And I've always said, no one is going to change unless people don't change until they're tired of being how they are,
right.
or they're tired of doing what they're doing, or they're tired of being this way. That's when they have that come to Jesus moment, then, you know, they'll change. Other than that, it's not happening.
They have no motivation to.
Yeah.
So, and that's not love. Love is not changing the other person.
Yeah.
Love is about accepting the other person, right? So if I'm in a point where I cannot accept who you are, then I'm unable to love you. That means that in this relationship, I'm here for selfish reasons. I'm here because I need you to meet my need. I'm not here to give to you. I'm here to take. So if you're focused on changing the other person, I would ask you, what is it that you're not getting from that relationship? Because clearly you came into it with an agenda. And then you have to analyze your reasons. What am I looking for and why? You know, and then is this the person that can give it to me? Be honest about that.
Yeah, I think even that process, for me, in my personal experience, that process of being frustrated with this person, trying to change this person, tolerating this person, which people do, and that that brings a whole, even a sense of like it's not peaceful even at that point. So that, I think, is what makes people, you know, they say fall out of love, or I outgrew that person, or but it's because you've been just all this time they weren't even what you wanted. No,
but people get swept up in the, you know, the newness of a new relationship, a new love, and everything is so exciting, everything feels good, and we get swept up in that, I feel good, that
the romanticism. It took me a while to learn that romanticism is, I mean, it's good, but it's not the necessity.
And I think as I've matured and as I've grown and I've learned myself, because, you know, I definitely, the whole romanticism, been there. I have learned that when I meet someone and my mind doesn't start to go into the what if scenarios, that's healthy. That when you meet someone and you immediately feel that fireworks and, you know, things are firing off and, oh my God, this could be the person, something is off. Because I think of it like drugs. If I take a hit of something and I get that immediate gratification, when I get that high, my ability to be rational is less likely. My ability to see red flags is less likely.
Yes.
Right? And I'm more likely to ignore the red flags because I want that high.
Right.
So there are a lot of people who are chasing that high in the first year of the relationship, and so they're ignoring everything that said this is not the person.
Right.
Because they were so focused on that high. Yeah. And there's a true addiction to being in love.
Yeah.
There are people who are addicted to being in love, and it has nothing to do with the person that they are in love with.
Right. And when you say that, it kind of reminds me of, there's a reason why at some point in my, being single, and I came to the conclusion of, like, you know what, we all know sex clouds your vision.
Absolutely.
Right? So there was a point in time where I was like, you know what, I want to wait as long as possible. I can date, I'm fine.
Right.
You meet people, talk, go out, have fun, whatever. But I wanted to eliminate the physical, because I didn't want that to be a deciding factor whether this was the one for me or not.
Right.
So, and that is extremely hard as far as your relationship with sex and your relationship with love and being
that's
healthy.
A whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it is. Yes, because people, like you say, they get caught up in that newness feeling, and then sometimes, if the behind the doors, the bedroom is good, then that's another reason why, they don't kind of just realize who they're really getting to know.
Absolutely.
And who this person really is, because you get the representative of, to me, the first 3 to 6 months.
Absolutely.
You can't possibly know
No.
Really who this person is. And you can know someone for 10 years and really not know them completely, but still, I feel like, anyone's going to put their best foot forward, just like I would put my best foot forward.
Right, and you have to expect that.
It's a really critical time. So, but anyway, what else do we have? Other than that, I think we're good.
Oh, yeah, any other, I can talk for hours.
Have, before we wrap up, what do you have going on either this year? I didn't even ask you how you're doing through the pandemic, but anyway.
Yeah.
What do you have going on this year or 2021?
So I have a lot going on, but I'm most excited about the coaching. So I recently brought back all of my coaching groups. So I'm coaching groups in spurts. So I have my first group going right now. They're doing amazing. And the women who join these groups are normally joining because they're trying to work on some aspect of their own personal development and growth.
Are they doing virtual, or is it one-on-one?
It's virtual. Okay. So they're all doing group sessions with me virtually, where we go through a 5-week course, and we talk about, basically, when I talk about, I touch on every aspect of you, because I understand that your success is not going to be centered in if you just develop as a business owner.
Right.
It's not if you just develop your sense of self. It's not like the purpose of having a strong relationship with self and being a healthy individual is so that healthiness can be dispersed out into the world.
Right.
So that's with your families. That's in your romantic relationships. I'm truly an advocate that you can have everything you want for your life. So how are we going to get there? And so in the 5 weeks with them, every week we're covering a different topic that points out and shows them, okay, this is where your work is and this is what we can do about it. And giving them the tools that they need to actually start visualizing what they want and then going and getting it. So I'm super excited about that group. And I start my next group next month with a new group of ladies. Yes.
So is it a 1 month?
Yes. Yes. Well, it's 5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So they do 5 weeks with me, and then I start with another group.
Okay.
So I'm super excited about that right now. And then, of course, the exception is doing well despite this pandemic. Thank God.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm excited about that as well.
I saw a few of the Gladiator interviews.
Yes.
What was the title again? I'm sorry.
How Gladiators Are Made.
How Gladiators Are Made. I saw a couple episodes. That was good.
So we did 20 episodes of How Gladiators Are Made, where we interviewed some amazing people out in the Houston area. Yeah. And then we are bringing that back. So we took a break so that I can get everything else together. Yeah. But we are bringing that back with the Made for This podcast. And then we're going to still feature our gladiators on that show.
Okay. And then it'll be... It's still visual, right?
Yes.
The podcast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Absolutely.
And then I think you were going to say something else after that, but
I mean, I just do a lot out here. So, get the book, go to my website, BrittanyNoel.com. It has everything that I'm doing related to coaching on there. I do have my YouTube channel where we upload all of my videos, but everything you can find is under BrittanyNoel.com.
Right. Okay. And then on Instagram... It's the same, right?
Yes, Brittany Noel. At Brittany Noel, yes. I go live every Tuesday night. So if you guys ever have questions that you want to ask me, hop on my live channel because it gets real in there.
Yeah, and if you subscribe, I don't know where can they, because I subscribed,
so you
and
get
then I get the emails.
Yes.
So where do they click that they can subscribe, on your Facebook page or the
Instagram.
actual YouTube?
So if they go to Instagram and they subscribe, there's a link to subscribe there, or on my website they can subscribe.
Okay.
And then and it adds you to my list, so you'll get notifications when I go live.
Okay. Yeah, because I get them and I'm like, oh, she's going, and it's
yeah.
Well, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's exciting, you know. But what else do we have? I think that's it. I'll be doing another show end of probably. It's not going to be every week because I know I used to do it every single Sunday, and I just have so much going on right now. I can't do every Sunday.
Of course, right.
It's, you know, I don't want to, like, you know, burn myself out or anything like that. So it's probably be like every 2 weeks, I'm thinking, but or whenever we, you know, have a good guest that I just want to go ahead and put on. But I thank you guys for watching. Marie in Houston, and thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It was a great conversation, and we'll see you next time. Happy Sunday, guys. Stay safe. Bye.